Hi, Messiah Lutheran Church and preschool friends. It is Miss Abby here, and I know the start of the school year is always very busy and very crazy. We've been keeping you in thought and prayer. I know there's all orientations and activities starting up and different things, and so we just wanted to touch base with you so you wouldn't miss out on anything that we have going on at Messiah. So there's a little section of this right at the beginning that's for everybody. There'll be some time breaks in between depending on if you've got a middle school age student or a high school age student, and we'll try to keep this real brief, but just wanted to make you aware of some information that you can either grab off of our youth bulletin board, or we'll be getting in the mail or email or all of the above, so that you don't miss out on anything important that we have coming up. So we hope you are well, and we hope that we're seeing you a lot more, but just wanted to share some different things with youth ministry that we have coming up. Maybe you weren't aware, been doing some research, so we figure it takes about 40 hours to make a friend and establish the kind of trust where you can talk about faith matters. And so you can figure out how many Sundays of an hour of church, or Sundays of an hour of Bible class, or Wednesdays of an hour of Bible class that takes. And so as we work through that, we figured out, hey, it actually is beneficial that we need to have connections at least 5 to 1. And so as our congregation is exploring that, we're asking for your help to help us help you. Obviously, everybody has busy, crazy activity schedules and work and things going on in life. And so helping us help you prioritize meeting needs. We want your feedback. We want to hear from you. Text, email, call, catch us in between services, whatever. We want to be hearing how we can best serve you. And so some things that we have coming up. Some upcoming, what we are calling connection points to grow and serve and to be involved and to grow in faith. We wanted to kind of share with that. We have upcoming our picnic, all ages, all stages, September 8th. We're going to do one worship service at 10 a.m. and picnic and games afterwards. So if you want to come and have some rest and fellowship and just participate and enjoy, great. If you want some service hours and want to volunteer and lead a game or help in the kitchen, we would love some help, but we're also fine if you just want to come and have some fellowship and enjoyment connecting with people you haven't seen since the beginning of summer. We're also kicking off our serving challenge, kicking that off on September 15th, Sunday the 15th, and then it goes for 6 weeks or 40 days forward. We have a variety of groups. You could get involved almost any day of the week. Groups that are just designed for youth, groups that are just designed for adults, some that are everybody. And so if depending on what your activity, sports, school schedule is like, there should be an opportunity in person, online, and Zoom at somebody's house, here at church, to connect. And so we would just invite and encourage you to find a group and dig in for those 6 weeks to do that. We also have Save the Date. The last Sunday in October, the 27th, from 5 to 7 p.m. is our Fall Festival and Trunk or Treat. We'd love it if you come and help, lead a game, serve food, bring a trunk and decorate it, and hand out candy. We can provide things for you if you need that. But these are just all things that will help us connect and get some of those 40 hours of connecting with other church people so that we can learn and grow together. And so the other thing, a lot of you are on here because you've been asking about Vacation Bible School. A lot of you served that way this summer. We were so thankful to have you here. We're kind of trying to narrow down so that we can publish the dates out there. So we've got it narrowed down to the week of June 9 through 13, or that week of June 16 through 20. And we're looking for some information, like if it's, we know that school gets out a little later this year. It's after Memorial Day. We know some high schools did things like move their band camp to June rather than August, which has been kind of traditional. And so if we know for sure by picking one week or another, we're going to be suddenly out 20 volunteers, that might help us make our decisions. So if you don't care and you're going to plan around us, awesome. We appreciate that. If you already know you've got some things or issues on the calendar, if you want to just shoot me a text and email and let us know that might help us know to put that out there. So we have published and attached here to a youth calendar that kind of has everything on it for the whole school year till we get to next summer on it. take a look at that, plan to get involved as often as you can. And some of the things like the VBS are kind of highlighted. We're not sure yet, and so we're kind of working that out. So those are all things that apply to everybody. There are some things that we want to talk about that would just apply if you've got a middle schooler, and they're coming up quickly, so that's why we're putting this out here as many ways as we can. If you are in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you're either in confirmation or through confirmation. We're kind of combining to do that with our middle school gathering. Some of you went on this last year up at Lake Yale Retreat Center. It's the first weekend in November 1 through 3. There's a great time with speakers and a band, camping out in motel-like accommodations, but in a camp ground. It's kind of similar to VB Vacation Bible School in the sense that it's hey, there's a rally or a mass event. Hey, there's games and activities. Hey, there's food. It's just a weekend-long thing with other middle schoolers, and so our group joins a bunch of other groups from around Florida to do this. And so we would love for you to be a part of that. The deadline to register, that's coming up really, really fast. It's on September 11th. So that's in just a couple weeks, like 2 weeks. And so if that's something you're interested in, we need to know quickly. And so the overall cost is like, depending on when you register, $205 or $230. We're just asking if you are middle schooler, if you can chip in $80. If that's too much for you, let us know and we'll figure out something, because we don't want cost to be a factor to not have somebody go. But if you can chip in $80, we'll cover the rest, and we'll plan to do that Friday night through Sunday afternoon, as you can plan on that. Simultaneously, on our little youth ministry flyer, if you've got a high school student, they at this event that first weekend in November, they run a leadership training for high school students. So this isn't meant to be, the big youth group goes. It's just meant to be 1 or 2 high school age kids from every congregation come together, and they form little groups where everybody doesn't know each other and is meeting each other and is exploring ways to serve and grow in servant leadership. And so that whole point of that is to grow in servant leadership. It's an opportunity to connect, to learn about leading different things. So they have kind of a track for underclassmen, freshman, sophomore, and a track for upperclassmen, junior, senior. So that's that same weekend, same cost. If that's something that you're interested in, we need you to let us know, because again, that's September 11th. And it's limited to 60 high school students total. So others around the district are doing it. Great opportunity to grow in leadership and training and spiritual growth. So if that's something you're interested in doing, let me know that. If you want to do that, you can turn in your forms in the packet. They're on the youth bulletin board or attached in the email or snail mailed. Return the necessary forms and make the payment. And you can do that with giving a cash check, or if you want to go on to messiahtampa.com/give, there's a payment button. Just make sure you find the youth gathering or trip button and not the youth ministry button, because we want you to make a payment for the trip, not a donation. And so if that's something you're interested in doing, do those 2 things, get them done by September 11th. There is a late deadline, but the late deadline is only like September 23rd. So get things turned in for that. On that youth calendar, the other thing, if you've got a middle schooler, is to save the date. There is a middle school servant event camp in 2025. We don't have a ton of the information yet, like costs and all the rest of that, but you can save the dates. That's going to be June 22nd, Sunday, June 22nd in the afternoon through Friday the 27th. So that's another reason we're kind of playing around with Vacation Bible School. Is that Vacation Bible School going to be that week straight leading into that, or are we going to give ourselves a breather week in between there? So if that's something you're interested in doing, plan it, put it on your calendar, save the date, and we'll put out more information in the winter time when we get more details about that. But we want to put that in front of you. If you are a high school age student, one of the things that comes around once about every 3 years with our church body is something that's called the National Youth Gathering. And it's coming up in July of 2025, specifically July 19th through 23rd in New Orleans, Louisiana. And so we're looking forward to that. You can plan a travel day, at least one on either side of it, maybe a little bit more, but probably just one. And so we wanted to share some information because it takes a whole year of planning and details to make this work. And so we wanted to share the information with you. The theme is endure, and it comes from Hebrews 12, 1 through 3. And again, it's got a lot of similarities to Vacation Bible School. It's an opportunity to gather together with over 20,000 youth, high school age, and adults from all around the country, and a little bit of some international participants that are part of what we believe Teach and Confess. So they do confirmation, they do VBS, they do baptism and communion, and it's a chance to grow in your faith, make new friends, and kind of do that. So why the gathering? There's a brief video, and I'm going to insert the link rather than just play it here because it's just about 5 minutes, but I said I'll include the link and I'll have you go check that out with your own time, but I said I would encourage you to do that. It's a great time where you get to do kind of what you would do at a Vacation Bible School, gather for Bible study session every day, participate in rallies or mass events where there's music and songs and skits and performances. There are sometimes optional nighttime activities like a concert or a comedian or other things like that. There's different program events during the day that we can select, speakers on various interesting topics, artists, service projects, concerts, games and rec time, not like a ton of free time, but we also get some opportunities maybe to explore the host city. So New Orleans, we might do a cultural thing. I know a couple years ago we got to check out the World War II Museum or the aquarium or different foods, and our district, for other kids from Florida, we went and checked out the where they store the Mardi Gras floats and had some unique food and interactive experiences there. So that's kind of like a Vacation Bible School out of town sort of setting kind of a thing. So we have that. Another kind of thing, we do the mass events in the Superdome or in the, I think it's now the Caesars Dome. That's where that takes place, which is kind of one edge of the city, and about a mile away from this Superdome is the convention center. And so inside they break that space into all the different sessions and things we have going on a day. So you can count on walking about a mile a day, but that would be where all that takes place. So if you are 14 to 19 in the next year, and at the time of that, by July, you are entering your freshman year, or you will be a 2025 high school graduate, you are eligible to attend the gathering. And so we would invite you to participate in that. If you're a little older than that, we have an opportunity for young adults, those that are 19 to like 25, to volunteer. That application closes in December of 2024. So if that's something you're interested in doing, you want to scan that QR code or check out that website, lcmsgathering.com/volunteer, find out what it takes, get your application in. And if you need some assistance to be able to do that, Messiah would love to send some college age or young adult volunteers, and we'd be open to helping you do that. Those are those that are 19 to 25. They kind of work behind the scenes. They kind of have a different of experience, and if you want to know, we've had some different people do that over the years. We could have you talk to them about that. For our high school youth, the guide is that we need adults and chaperones, students and chaperones for the trip to happen. So we have a set ratio about what we try to do depending on the number of youth that actually sign up to go. So we want to we'll at least have 2, 1 male and 1 female chaperone, maybe 4, maybe more than that, depending on how many students sign up. Adults that are interested will have a packet for you to apply, and you can get that off the youth bulletin board or attached, is that you can kind of see what you would be responsible for. Our travel plans, we're kind of trying to narrow it down. We think it's definitely cheaper to drive, and it helps us avoid some of the flight nightmares where you get a flight canceled and you can't get back when you think you're going to get back. But if we're open to listening to people, so if the dynamic of the group is that it's really, really important to be here or be back by a certain date because of something else that you have going on, we're open to listening to that, but we need to be having those conversations earlier rather than later, which is why we're putting this information in front of you. Not all the flight information is available yet, but that's coming close to around $450 per ticket, depending on bags and other things like that. Driving takes about 10 hours or a little more than that, so you need an extra day in there. But it's great for bonding, getting some of those 40 hours. great for saving some time and energy, and it would allow us to maybe drive with some other people from other churches going from Tampa Bay area that are going to this to share some transportation costs and get to know them too. So and we might have some additional adults if we choose that option, because gathering's a long week and driving back can be kind of rough. So housing, the gathering contracts with hotels all over the city of New Orleans within walking distance, as we will be assigned a specific place. Occasionally they're a little bit outside of where that mile radius where the activities are happening, and then they'll just bus us in for the day, and we're in the city for the day to do the things at the tourism things, the convention center things, and the mass events in the dome at night. We only stay in those, so it's not like, well, I have such and such points at Hilton, can't you book with them? No, they look at all the participants in the gathering and the group dynamics, and they assign us a hotel, and that's where we get to stay. We don't get choices in the matter. They try to do that to keep the costs the same for everybody, and then they know that there's certain hotels that are earmarked for participants, and that's it. So we try to put 4 students per room, 4 guys in guys' rooms, 4 girls in girls' rooms, but again, that depends on our group dynamics. It's a great time for hearing some awesome speakers that make you laugh and cry, comedians, improv artists, join in praising God through music and worship, learning through growing through His Word. And here's some like past things. These are the ones from actually 2016. We've had groups go since then, but that was the last time that it was hosted in New Orleans. So this is what you would be in for in this specific city. A mass event or a rally with a bunch of other youth in worship, about 20,000 plus. The convention center broken apart with different booths and service projects, some areas for crafting and doing some cultural type experiences, interest centers and discussions, district events, concerts, time in God's Word, and recs and games. So even in the middle of the convention center, you can have soccer or basketball or 9-ball or gaga ball or a bunch of different things like that. And so there's kind of the opportunities to pick your interests and do a variety of different things throughout the day. New Orleans is also known for its food. So great opportunities to try some different things like beignets, little king's cake, po' boy sandwiches, gumbo, muffalettas. Maybe if you're not a super adventurous eater, that's okay. There's other things there too. But I said, I know the last time we were in New Orleans, we had a great time eating and trying some different things, even learning how to cook some things, which was kind of cool. We do have an option for a service project that they would assign us to. Some of them are indoors, some of them are outdoors. The last time we were assigned an outdoor kind of gardening project. So you can see some of the students doing that, but that would be a thing that's optional, and if something the group's interested in, we could do. It's a ton of memories. It's great. Before the gathering, because as we said, that happens in July, but it takes a lot of time to get ready for that, because we would join together to kind of get to know one another. So there'd probably be 3 or 4 times during the school year 2024 to 2025 where we'd say we needed to join with us so we can do some Bible studies. We need to be doing some fundraising because we don't want to pass all that cost on to you. We would have some informational meetings about actual travel plans as those come together, about picking activities we want to participate in. There would be a covenant to be signed, and a commitment would need to be made. And we'd say we would hope that you'd be around either for our worship and Sunday morning or Wednesday evening activities. Again, see that youth calendar that we have on our app, or that we kind of send out so you kind of know what's going on there. After the gathering, we would certainly want to thank the congregation for supporting us and allowing us to go, maybe sharing some of our experiences, encouraging other kids that are younger than you to attend in a couple of years and kind of keep engaged through the things we have going on the calendar. So estimated cost. There's a lot of factors that we're still ironing out. How many youth are interested, how many are going, how many adults we need to take with, whether we choose airfare or not, and what that airfare actually ends up being. If we drive, what is the actual number of days? So how many nights of food, how many nights of hotel? So we're budgeting on the highest end possible. So I don't want anybody to freak out about the cost, but we're going to tell you the absolute worst case scenario, because I'm a big believer of it's always easy to pare it down and make different decisions and cut, rather than suddenly tell you one thing and then suddenly it's a lot more than that. So All right, sorry about that. So we would say that the gathering registration is $395, and if that's too steep, we can break that into different payments as we go.
In other words, we will work with you. What's reflected here, the $395 is the registration for those that register in October. The later rate of $425 would be those that register November plus. We have a factor for hotel room per night figured, a per person for meals, extras, and so we're saying total worst case scenario would be $3,300 per person. We think for sure we can get it down to $2,875, and the goal would be to be even less. And so that's not saying that's what you're all paying, but that's saying the worst case scenario of what it's going to cost per person is that figure.
So as long as you are able to pay that deposit, if again, we don't want financial reasons, fear reasons, somebody can't do it, we'll make it work if that's not doable. But as long as you're able to, we ask you to pay that deposit at that $395 if you're doing it in October, or the $425 if you're doing it later. We do have the rest of that $3,000 or $2,800 or however much it ends up being comes from congregational support, stuff you're able to save on your own, and as well as fundraisers that we have going on. So the cost to you is that $395 non-refundable, meaning if you decide not to go on the trip in May or March or some other time, we can't refund it. But that will hold your spot. If you do that by October 16th, we will honor that $395 rate. If you choose to go after that, know that cost goes up to $425. We would ask for another installment, depending, unless we do above and beyond with fundraising, another installment or payment in March of about $550. And unless we can cut costs or make more fundraisers, there might be another installment of $500 in June. And again, we can break these into smaller bits. But again, talk to us about cost issues. We don't want that to be a reason not to not have somebody sign up.
I'd also add that in the past, we've been very good at lessening the installments or sometimes even dropping that third installment totally. And so, as I said, we're giving worst case scenario. We've been good at cutting them down or cutting them back, and we would certainly work to do that. But I want to give you the realistic picture and say that we're working to cut that back.
And you're going, how can we do that? We want our kids to be able to have this experience, but that's way too much when we've got too many kids trying to do this at the same time. We can work out additional discounts for people that might be sending more than one student on the trip. But fundraiser participation is expected to cover the rest, which means we need you to help and participate in some of those. And you can see where we have some outlined on our youth calendar. We've already had some over the course of the last 2 or 3 years that maybe you've already participated in, maybe not. We might add a couple more as we do some planning in the days and weeks ahead. And so that would be a thing to be mindful. So if you've looked at all this and you're like, yeah, I'm in, or I need to ask a couple questions, but yeah, I'm in. I've heard all about this. I've heard older kids talk about this. This is something I've been looking forward to. On our youth bulletin board and the snail mail are attached, we have a little packet of things we would ask you to do. There is a youth and participant agreement, like kind of this is the expectation we have. We would ask the student to sign or initial one side and the parent to initial the other. There's kind of an interest form about, we're not committing or locking you in, but just to kind of learn, would you be interested in participating in this sort of an event? Would you be interested in helping lead music either through the Wind Symphony or singing in chorus, because that's something you do, and then we can kind of plan on that. There's a participation worksheet that has some details that we have to turn into the gathering office. And then there's also a special needs worksheet. So if you have special accommodations that are needed, we can have you fill that out and get that information and put it in that way. This is also something you can share with friends of yours. Maybe you've got a friend that has volunteered with you at VBS or comes to youth group, or maybe is just would be interested. You are Messiah Lutheran Church friends are certainly welcome. We need them to buy into the whole of what we're going to do and participate in some way. But if that's something that they are interested in doing, we can certainly pass that information on along to them and get them plugged in. Obviously, the sooner the better, although we can add people later. So what do we need from you? We need that commitment form or participation agreement, at $395 registration online or check or whatever by the 16th of October. We want to, that will ensure your spot to attend, and as we get closer to the event, that registration fee is going to turn into a non-refundable thing unless we find a substitute to take your place. Again, you can make those payments, go into messiahtampa.com/give, and then finding the youth gathering or trip button, not the youth ministry button on the other side, but that would be one way to do that. You could also do another method if that's preferred. Indicate those travel dates, interests, and those options. If you're an interested adult, we have a separate application for adults that can also be found online or on the bulletin board. There's a separate application for that and some different expectations for what we would have for you to be involved. So that if you're interested in thinking, I might be interested in doing that, please turn in that application. Your deadline is probably the Sunday before the 16th because we need to have that worked out a little bit in advance, but be thinking of that soon too. That was a lot of information really fast, and there's probably some questions or concerns. Feel free to email, call, text, grab us between a Sunday. I don't want anybody not participating simply because they got overwhelmed with the process or had questions they didn't get answered. So certainly talk to us about it. We would love to answer whatever that you have to make you comfortable with the process, comfortable with anything we have going on, and to be able to potentially work out any issues. As I said, I don't want cost to be a factor. I don't want uncertainty about something in the future to be a factor. We want you to be able to do this. So we want to work with you however we can and answer whatever we can to make it so that it's easiest to do that. I will tell you, we had our little in-person meeting on the 25th of August. We already have high school youth committed to go. So if you're like, oh, I don't want to be the only one, you already won't be. I said, obviously, the more people we have on this, the better. So text your friends we haven't seen it, that go to the other service, whatever, and get them plugged in. But we already have people committed to doing this. So let's just keep the ball rolling and get people signed up and get people into it, and let's do it. So ask the questions, plan to get involved. It's going to be a great experience. I know you will enjoy. I know we'll have lasting impact because I've seen it happen over the years. It's a great thing for growing your faith. It's a great thing for memories. It's a great thing for bonding, and it's a great thing that can last you, particularly you underclassmen, the rest of your high school experience. So let's plan on it. That kind of concludes our informational, and as I said, that July 19th through 23 is what you need to plan on and work to clear on your calendar, plus probably a day on either side of it. So we're probably looking at 18 to 24, 18 to 25 with some drive time, but that would be the plan. Hope to hear back from you soon and get you plugged in. And blessings on the rest of the start of the school year. We will be in touch and hope to see you often.